Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your ticker guy coming at you on the 30th of September with a late night update. I wish I was just here to tell you that the Senate has indeed decided to use a parliamentary trick to try to cram the no banker left behind bailout bill through the House by attaching it to a popular piece of Senate legislation. But that's not why I'm here. No, I'm here because tonight we had a very brave representative from California, Kudlow and Company, that blew the lid off the actual reason for this bill and for the TARP. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been lied to repeatedly by the President of the United States and by the Secretary of the Treasury of the United States. In my opinion, these two individuals have committed impeachable offenses against the United States government and against the United States people. They have foisted off upon the public the claim that this bill is necessary to prevent a meltdown on Main Street, the loss of millions of jobs, the inability of people to get loans to go to college, to buy homes, to buy cars, the inability of businesses to get operating lines of credit, commercial paper, so that they can make their payrolls. It's not the purpose of the TARP. Mr. Sherman explains what the purpose of the TARP is. I'm going to play the clip from CNBC, used under fair use. Here we go.
The bill is very clear. Assets now held in China and London can be sold to U.S. entities on Monday and then sold to the Treasury on Tuesday. Paulson has made it very clear he would recommend a veto of any bill that contained a clear provision that said if Americans didn't own the asset on September 20th, that it can't be sold to Treasury. Hundreds of billions of dollars are going to bail out foreign investors. They know it, they've demanded it, and the bill's been carefully written to make sure that can happen.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about this. Mr. Paulson sent a 3-page bill to the House and Senate leadership, essentially demanded that they pass it, and said that if they didn't, Armageddon would visit our shores economically in days. The House and the Senate wisely said hell no, and went through and revised it. But the key provision wasn't that King Paulson was going to be crowned. The key provision, as we now have discovered, thanks to Mr. Sherman, is that the cow patties, or crap sandwiches if you prefer, could come from anywhere that Mr. Paulson would like to purchase them from. The definition of the underlying collateral for these securities is a residential or commercial mortgage. It doesn't say that that mortgage has to be written on a property in the United States. And Mr. Paulson said that he would recommend a veto, which he wouldn't do without the President's concurrence, if there was a restriction on foreign entities from proffering their debt into the TARP. Their bad debt, that is. After all, why would you sell your performing debt that's working out just fine? So, ladies and gentlemen, you are being asked to sit still while Congress passes a law that will allow the Treasury Secretary to buy $700 billion worth of bad debt from Shanghai, Great Britain, Australia, and Germany, which may not have been written on anything in the United States or its territories and possessions in the first place. In fact, those could be CDOs written on flats in London. It could be a CLO written on some other piece of property. It could be a bad business deal on a business tower in Shanghai. This is what the purpose of this bill really is. It is not to bail out Main Street America. It is not to provide help to homeowners. It is not to provide any of those kinds of things. It exists for one and only one purpose: because that is where the veto threat came from. And if you remember, the other thing Mr. Paulson said is that he would not approve any plan that didn't have as its core the purchase of these assets by Treasury. A plan that, for example, the Genesis plan that I have put forward is unacceptable because it doesn't involve buying hundreds of billions of dollars of junk paper. But the issue is not buying hundreds of billions of dollars of junk paper from the United States banking system. It is being able to buy hundreds of billions of dollars worth of junk paper from foreign banks. Oh, yeah. We kind of forgot to tell you that, didn't we? Well, you know what? Mr. Sherman sussed it out. And then, when this was brought up to Mr. Hanky Panky's attention, and they said, you know, this is kind of uncool. We got a little bit of a problem with this. Hank Paulson said, if you change it, the bill gets vetoed. Ladies and gentlemen, you must make a decision here and now. This video needs to get spammed to every email box in America today. You are about to be hung out to dry, not so you don't lose your job, not so your kid can go to college, not so you can buy a car, not so you can fix your roof, and not so you can get a mortgage to buy a house. That's what you're being told, but it isn't the truth. The truth is that this $700 billion rescue plan is all about rescuing a bunch of greedy bastards in other countries who made bad bets. And some of those bad bets may have been ours. And you know what? I bet there were some threats behind there. But we're not going to hear about that, are we? You know, China was making noises about that a few days ago. They've suddenly gone silent. Australia didn't, though. Neither has Germany, neither has Great Britain. All three of those nations have come out with really interesting little statements the last few days. I wondered what in the hell their motivation was to bitch about the fact that we didn't pass a bill on their schedule. Why the hell do they care? It's for United States citizens, United States commerce, United States banks, right? Wrong. You, the American citizen, need to choose. Are you going to enslave yourself? 25% of the federal budget, folks, and it's going to disappear into a tornado within days. And it's all going to fly right out of the United States. Hey, you know, Ben Bernanke, hundreds of billions of dollars in swap lines. Now do you know why he did it? Because he expects that Congress is going to roll over like a lapdog, and so are you, the American public, and you're going to get saddled with hundreds of billions of dollars of bad debt pumped in by foreign banks into the United States, for which you're going to get the check. You going to stand for this? Well, if not, you better get off your butt, because you got about 48 hours to stop it with phone calls, faxes, and maybe you even got to show up in the Capitol and shut that town down. No way, folks. This sort of thing deserves an impeachment petition in the House, not a vote. Have a good evening.